What's going on, everyone? It's the night of Tuesday, September 30th. I'm already back from recording the last episode, or the last review I did for Gotham's episode from last night. Now we got Sleepy Hollow, which we had last night too. It was the second episode of season 2 called Kindred. Like I said, all these shows that have been starting up, new ones like The Flash and Gotham, and now Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Sleepy Hollow with season 2 going on with both of those. All of these shows are delivering to all of us, watching all these shows. They're amazing. And they're really giving us a run for our money. Or, not for our money, but for our attention. Anyway, this episode, it really focuses on, a certain creature that is introduced to the group called the Kindred, of course. Um, which, when we see this creature, it's actually pretty badass. But at the beginning, we actually see Crane have, like, some sort of premonition of Katrina and her fate with the Horsemen. Thankfully, it doesn't come true, and who knows. After the premonition between Ichabod and Abby, there was a crack about Martha Stewart and the marriage industry, wedding industry, I should say. It was hysterical. Crane saying, the togetherness of like a man and a woman is now an industry. It's hilarious. Anyway, in this episode, we met a new sheriff because if you remember in the finale last year, Captain Irving, played by Orlando Jones, love him. Irving took the fall for some of the murders for his daughter, and this woman's name is Reyes. She's a tough cookie. I wouldn't say plays by the book, but she's not up to speed on what's going on in Sleepy Hollow, and they're not just gonna confess, and show her what's going on. But she's a hard ass, and she actually knows the two girls from when they were little, when they can't even remember who they were. Or who she was, sorry. But the Kindred, this new creature, they find out it's in some sort of like lost gospel of the Bible or something like that. And it turns out it's a creature that, lo and behold, Ben Franklin actually created back in the day. And it turns out this Kindred can be someone who can match the same skills as the Horseman of Death. And this Kindred is made of, fallen soldiers' body parts, basically. And, of course, when they hear about this, they're like, let's bring a monster onto our territory to fight for us against the Horsemen, And, of course, Abby and Jenny, they're not thrilled about this idea, But, to fight a monster, they, have to release their own. But, of course, the final ingredient is a body part of the Horseman. We all know where this leads, because, lo and behold, they have the Horseman's head itself. So, of course, Abby meets with Irving, and this is actually the first time we've actually seen him since the finale. So, he's got to be caught up with, Purgatory and, Crane's child and everything, and oh boy. So, anyway, turns out Irving hid the head at a bank, and let's just say Crane had his, he had his rant about, the world and investments and banking and all kind. It was hysterical. One thing that really interested me in this episode, it kind of drifted off into a more serious note. When Abby was in Purgatory, she kind of realizes the horrors she faced in there. Shows her that Crane is her weakness. Her faith in Crane is her Achilles heel, basically. And she believes that Katrina is Crane's as well. And after that, we really saw, Abby is scarred by purgatory, and that could change the whole entire show, honestly, or at least her character development in this season. But lo and behold, the Kindred is hidden in a secret room. Of course, this is Sleepy Hollow. We wouldn't have Sleepy Hollow unless we didn't have secret rooms. And after they awaken this Kindred, it was monster versus monster. The Kindred versus the Horsemen. It was so badass. But of course, with Henry having his new, um, kind of like a Horseman soldier soul kind of thing, we saw that at the end of last week's episode. Moloch gave him like a soldier he could control with his mind or within his soul. And of course, Henry brings this thing into battle, and now it's 2 versus 1. Really? Really, Henry? Anyway, the whole fight scene between these three monsters was really freaking awesome to see. And during this battle, or this fight, I should say, Crane got to speak to Katrina, and she convinces Crane to leave her there because she makes a sacrifice for the team. She says, Moloch, Crane, Moloch, Henry, and the Horsemen, they're plotting something really big to try and bring Moloch, to Earth. And she wants to act as a mole to find out what this plan is. And of course, Crane trusts her, so he allows it. But of course, at the very end is the most intense stuff of the episode always for this show. Irving tells the truth of, the murdered cops because of what happened with his daughter last season, and ends up in the insane asylum, the same one that Jenny was in, actually. And of course, his new lawyer shows up, and it's someone we already know. And this someone has a plan for Irving. That's all I'm gonna say. But next week's episode, it's called The Root of Evil. Crane and Abby, they're looking for some sort of like supernatural coin or something that bends loyalties. And let me just say, or put this question to mind: is trust the only currency in this episode? And Abby could very well meet her fate, from the hands of someone she loves. Who could it be? That's all I'm going to say. So that's it for me. Just click the like button down below, share a comment, whatever you'd like. Have a good night, guys. Bye.